Hey, Katia.
Doing? All right, guys, welcome to another Digital Jamaica Live Show. Uh, we are on our experimental time again at 7:30 p.m. Special shout out to our viewers on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook, and those of you who are watching the restream. Welcome and thanks for joining us. And today we have a co-host, Anika. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, guys. Anika here. I'm so happy to be back. I'm
Yes.
loving the vibe with you ladies, and I'm happy to co-host today.
Yes, and so for today it will just be Anika and myself. Monique is off having some talks with some people at an event, and it's awesome. So it will be just Anika and I today, and we're gonna go straight into our word of the day and our technically
Wow.
speaking segment. And tonight on technically speaking, we're talking bullseye, right? 2022 retargeting strategies to get you in front of the right audience. We know that for a lot of you, COVID has completely thrown you off, whether it's your strategy or whatever, it has completely thrown you off. And now you need help getting back on track. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. All right. Talking about platform retargeting, and Anika is going to go into the when and the where and the who and all the good stuff, and I'm going to show you the how. All right. So it's going to be a full show.
It's a whole stuff. It's a
It's a
whole
whole stuff. It's
stuff.
a whole stuff, right? We also want to hear from you in real time. So if you have any questions that you want to ask, you want to add your 2 cents in the chat, please go ahead. We do feature the best comments on the stream. Guys, we need your help to continue growing the Digital Jamaica platform. And so if you love what we do, therefore, easy peasy, free ways that you can help us grow. So you can follow us on our social media platforms. We're on Instagram, we're on Twitter, we're on LinkedIn, we're on Facebook, right? You can subscribe to our YouTube channel and to our podcast. And you can like, comment, and share our content anywhere you come across us on the net. Okay, we really appreciate you guys for doing
Okay.
that. And yeah, some very easy ways that you can help us grow.
Yeah. So the digital, we have our sponsor plug right here. So
Yes, we
the
have to
Digital
plug the
Jamaica,
sponsors.
we have to pick up the sponsors. So the
Yes.
Digital Jamaica Live Show is sponsored by G5 Cybersecurity Limited, protecting businesses and families. Visit www.g5cybersecurity.com to assess your company's network for security vulnerabilities and to see if you comply with the Jamaica Data Protection Act.
For real. Thanking Gavin over there at G5 Cybersecurity for his continued support. And now we're going straight into the word of the day with Anika. Anika, what's the word of the day today?
Today it's psychographics and it's one of
Yes.
my favorite marketing terms.
All right, Anika.
So
So tell us about
I'm
psychographics.
excited. I'm excited. So this is my passion, y'all. So psychographics is by definition is a study of consumers based on their activities, interests, and opinions. It goes beyond classifying people based on general demographic data such as age, gender, or race, and psychographics seeks to understand the cognitive, which are the psychological factors that drive consumer behaviors. So typically, when people are creating their marketing strategy, they think about demographics first. So they think about age, gender, location, occupation, ethnicity, education level, and sometimes even religion. But psychographics takes into account things like personality traits, lifestyle, social class, attitudes, principles, beliefs, activities, and interests. So why is this important? Well, individuals who fall in the same demographic group don't necessarily fall into the same psychographic group. So prospects might have different habits, interests, preferences, and values that make them unique in how you should target them. So when you think about it, it makes sense, right? So that's why it's so critical to keep to create both demographic and psychographic profiles for your prospects and buyers. Now, typically people will use terms like buyer persona, customer avatar, and these are essentially a crafted profile that looks at both demographic and psychographic desirable data for your ideal target. So stay tuned for more on this in our Technically Speaking segment coming right up. I was trying to do the Monique voice, but I don't think I did it well. You're muted.
Sorry, you're trying to do the sexy voice. Only
I was trying. Only
Monique has
Monique.
it. Yeah, she's practiced. She's practiced.
She's well practiced.
All right, guys. So before we go into our Technically Speaking segment, we have some quick updates for you. So, guys, we keep talking about this summit, but we go live in terms of promotions of the summit this Friday. Okay, it's our inaugural Digital Jamaica Youth Summit 2021 in partnership with the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information, the Jamaica Union of Tertiary Students, and the National Youth Council, sponsored by the Institute of Law and Economics, UCA ambassadors, and some other persons. And we're so excited because, guys, we are going to have a jam-packed 2 days of full-on engagement with our high school and our university students, talking about how they can prepare themselves for the world of work. Guys, the world is becoming borderless. It's already borderless. It's hyper digital. And so now there's a huge job market out there, and it's now competitive for everybody because anybody anywhere can get a job anywhere. So how do we prepare our children to better to be more marketable, to be more attractive to employers in a space like that? That's what we're going to be talking about. And we have a stellar lineup of guests for that event. So stay tuned to the Digital Jamaica platforms. On Friday, we're going to be doing a full rollout. You will see all the speakers, all the presenters. It's going to be fabulous, and we cannot wait. All right. Of course, we have our Dare internship competition coming up. More information on that coming next week. And we have our Launch 2022 workshop series coming December 2nd, 7th, 9th, and 14th. Guys, it's 4 days of highly intensive training and prep work for you and your brand to get you thriving in 2022. Guys, you have a special surprise. I don't know how I forgot. We have a special surprise coming up at the Youth Summit. Today, we confirmed that Rashawn Clark, aka Base C, is going to be a presenter at the workshop on November 19th. Now, this just so happens to be the day when his sophomore album launches, right? So the sophomore album is called King Bass. And, we have a promo clip here for you guys that we want to play for you quickly. Just 1 minute. All right, guys. So you saw that quick promo clip there from Rashawn Basie Clark. That single, Hotter Than Lava, is actually already out. You can go watch it. It's on YouTube. Please go and support. We are grateful to Basie for being a part of the event and for supporting Digital Jamaica and our young people. And of course, we want to help promote him as best as we can. Go and check that out, and please to follow Basie Music on Instagram and other platforms for more information. All right, guys, so quick updates today, and now we are going right into our Technically Speaking segment with Anika. And Anika, we're going to keep it simple, but we're going to break it down. And, we're going to be covering what you call the 5 W's. So what are the 5 W's that we are going to be using to assess for targeting and repositioning to hit that bullseye in 2022?
So the 5 W's, straight up, they're who, why, what, where, and then how. The W is on
Well,
the
how
end.
is technically not a W, but
On the end. That W is on the end of
on the
how.
end. Okay, okay.
So these five W's, and Kadia, in us talking about this topic
Mhm.
previously, the concern about retargeting and the need to re-strategize,
Yeah.
because obviously because of COVID, and just generally speaking, overall, we with or without COVID,
Mhm.
anybody who puts together some sort of marketing strategy has to be able to adjust.
Yeah.
No strategy is ever static. It's never
Right.
stagnant. You have to be able to manipulate it and adjust accordingly. And you would have a general marketing strategy for your year, but
Mhm.
you're going to have a more zoned in or tapped in strategy per quarter as
Mhm.
well. And that has to be able to adjust accordingly. So, taking into account these very simple five W's, I think is a great way to start.
Right.
Outlining how you can retarget, reposition all of these re's to help you reconnect with your audience, right?
And
So
rig up
the
your sales.
exactly.
All
So
right.
so
So we're
to
starting with the who, right?
the who is the foundation of everything, and this
Okay.
ties right back in to the word of the day being psychographics.
Mhm.
So basically, there's a general disconnect between, I think, what people sell and who
Mhm.
buy it.
Right.
I think, generally speaking, most people will have an idea of the demographic data. They think, okay, I'm targeting people in Kingston or Mobay or Jamaica or Barbados, wherever
Mhm.
very specifically, but then they don't drill down into the who on a larger scale. And I think what's really important coming out of the word of the day and the definition is that your general idea of who your demographic is. The difference between a psychographic is that you will have different psychographics within a demographic. So if we're
Right.
targeting women between the ages of 25 to 40, within that range, you have
Mhm.
women with varying concerns and varying psychographics.
Mhm.
So if you have identified your who, and you can really tap into understanding who that person is at the core, then
Mhm.
you are even better equipped way of figuring out how to
Right.
communicate with them. Hence why we start with a who.
Mhm.
So now I think customer avatars and buyer personas, those kind of terms are becoming more mainstream. People have been talking about it on social media, like yourselves,
Mhm.
as well as many of our colleagues in the space. So people are more familiar with it, but there's a lack of appreciation in understanding the psychographics.
Mhm.
So just backtracking, the psychographics really looks on activities, interests, and opinions of people, right? So it's a psychological profile of these people that you're trying to
Yeah.
connect with.
Mhm.
And the thing is here that what you can do with this information is that it helps you to really truly identify the values that these people have, as well as figuring out how they can become more receptive to what you're trying to sell, right?
Yeah.
So this is a foundation for good marketing. And if you have an appreciation of the nuances of the who, then you can better shift and adjust your strategy with time, because obviously the values, the concerns, the triggers, the aspirations of all of these people are changing on
And
a
would have
day-to-day
changed,
basis
and
and
I
would
know
have
that with the
changed.
pandemic, it's even changed even further.
Yeah, and if you take it even outside of the pandemic, just for a moment, a person's concerns change from month to month.
Mhm.
People will know that during September, if you're targeting women, for example, August into September, the moms are planning for back to school.
Mhm.
We know that come January is tamarind season. This is psychographic data that we just take for granted. And you have
Mhm.
to adjust your strategy accordingly. So now when you add the pandemic on top of that, that's a whole nother layer of psychographic information that we have to take into account. Right? So if you can leverage a psychographic data, it not only helps you to tailor your marketing style and suit your consumer and your
Mhm.
client, but it helps you craft a better emotional connection. And that's where it comes into really
Ooh.
connecting with your audience, because that's what you want to do. And you want to
Right.
build an effective brand. right?
Right. And I like that conversation about connecting on an emotional level, because what we really
Mm-hmm.
need to understand is that buying is all about emotions, and how people buy is all about emotions. And now that they have access to the internet and to social media spaces and to articles and blogs, etc., now they have more information. And that
Mm-hmm.
information feeds into their emotional desires, and know that they do have access to more information. They can find out things like, is this brand or business more aligned in terms of morals, more aligned in terms of my socio or my social or political views on things.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Who does this brand or business represent? Am I a part of that representation? Do I see myself in this brand? Is this brand reflecting back to me who I
Mm-hmm.
think I am or who I think I want to be? And so, is it worth investing in this brand? So on many levels, and I think at the highest level, it's very emotional based.
Mm-hmm.
But there are some other considerations in there as well. But it's very important that we understand the psychology behind it and what is driving the emotions and the desires, and then be able to satisfy that in some way, so we can better align with these persons. And so not we're not just attracting them, but we're
Mm-hmm.
almost bringing them into the brand as some kind of ambassador for the brand, or some kind of
Exactly.
representative
Mm-hmm.
of the brand.
Yeah, because really, ideally, what you want are your consumers to be advocates for your brand.
Yeah.
You want them to shout from the rooftops, "Hey, this business
Mhm.
is my lifesaver. This business helps me solve all of these problems," which ties into what we're going to talk about next. But
Mhm.
what you had mentioned a while ago in terms of reflecting, I want to actually touch on another element within psychology, or the psychology of marketing, which is archetypes. And generally speaking, archetypes are basically categorical understandings that we have of personality types, in a
Mhm.
sense, that are rooted in our unconscious. So a person will have an idea of who a hero is. A person will have an idea of who a mother is. A person who will, you naturally have these unconscious understandings of who these people are, right?
Mhm.
Brands and businesses can also emanate archetypal energy as well. And people like to connect with similar energy.
Yeah.
So if you are trying to target people who are change makers and people who are rebels, then you need to emanate that similar type of energy as well. So that's why it's so important to really have a deeper appreciation of who you're connecting to. It's not just male, female, age. That's it. That's just demographic data. You really need to start looking on the bigger picture of who these people are, and then you can figure out what they want truly and why they will buy from you, which are the bigger
Yeah.
questions. If you want to sell, that's the point of it all, right? So what this boils down to is solving and not selling. So
Oh, I like that.
mhm, the big
Solving
thing
and
is
not
solving,
selling.
not selling, not selling. I mean, generally speaking, especially when we talk about the digital space, people are, especially on social media, people are not on social media to buy. They're there to consume information. They're there to learn stuff. They're there to fasten people business. They're
To
there
be
to have
entertained.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, to be entertained. So you can't be selling, 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 selling all the time. You have to be offering solutions, right? So if you understand the who these people are, what they want, right? Then you can better understand why they will want to connect with you. So I have a shortcut that I like to use, which I call identifying your LPP. And
So are
LPP,
we now going into
the
the
what and the
why,
why.
the what and the
That's,
why?
yeah,
Okay.
that's where we are now. So the LPP is really trying to figure out how your business, or yeah, how your business or what you're selling falls into these three categories, or a
Mhm.
combination of the three. Now L stands for lifestyle, P stands for passion, and the other P stands for purpose. And
Mhm.
generally speaking, any business is selling either a service or product that falls in one of these categories or a combination of these categories. So, lifestyle, passion, or purpose. We can take Digital Jamaica, for example. Digital
Right.
Jamaica is actually all three. Lifestyle is a lifestyle of a digital enthusiast or a tech enthusiast, somebody who has a real passion now for tech and development. And then the purpose behind that individual as well, or that driving force behind them, is learning, is either learning or teaching. So there's that kind of balance between education as well as constantly still learning and transformation or transforming self. So if you think about it like that, what Digital Jamaica has done is that you've packaged your LPP in such a way that it connects with fellow digital enthusiasts who are passionate about tech, who are passionate about learning, who have a purpose or a greater purpose for understanding, and who want to lead in some sort of change.
Right.
And whether they themselves are in tech or they just have like a side interest in it, their desire is to make change in one way or another, right? So
So that's the purpose.
that's the purpose. And any business can fall into these ranges too. So if somebody is selling gym membership, they're selling a lifestyle. They're
Right.
also selling a passion for health, right? But if you figure out the
And the
what,
purpose could be to get a man.
that works
I'm
too.
just saying. Or it could be health related.
It could be health related. It could.
If
But
you're anything like me.
But here's the thing, that boils down to the psychographics. We're coming right back to the psychographics. What is the desire of the person that you're connecting to? Within the demographic, you're going to talk about this, Katie. You're going to talk about your micro targeting, because within that bigger psychographic of a person who's a health enthusiast or who wants to have a better lifestyle, you have a micro segment of people who probably want to do this because they want a relationship. And you can niche down like really, really far down if you want to get down that rabbit hole.
Yeah,
So
they want to look and feel better so they can give more of themselves or
right. And then you could take it on another side where it could be a female who wants to reclaim her self identity and all of these other things. And when you think about it like that, then you can better understand the how you can start connecting with them and the where you meet these people. So that's the who, the what, and the why.
all right. And I'm going to talk about the where and the how.
Yeah.
And so I'm glad Anika, touched on the lifestyle, passion, and purpose, because legitimately we're going right back there, to be quite honest with you, because when we were thinking about what we wanted to talk about on the show today, I think we all kind of came up with the same thing. We're literally talking about the psychology behind marketing, the psychology behind branding, the psychology behind business, how that translates into the digital space, because it does translate differently in the digital space. As I said, people have access to more information. They also have access to more brands. We are now in the consumer era. Okay, they dictate the market for in the main, they dictate the market. So it's a matter of catering to them. And what I've seen us doing, which is what I'm seeing us doing, is that we're not paying enough attention to our audience. What we're looking at what we as a brand or as a business owner like, and we do what we like and what we think looks good for the brand, and not necessarily what makes sense for the potential client. And so Instagram is popular, and this is the where now. So Instagram is popular, and everybody wants to be on Instagram. But should you be on Instagram?
Yes.
Should you just go on Instagram and create a profile because I guess everybody's on Instagram? Or, let me jump over to TikTok because, people are on TikTok or Twitter, and any platform that you decided to build your brand out on or establish some kind of brand presence on. I find that we are not doing it with any strategy in mind. We're doing it based on popularity of the platform, and that may be for most of us a downfall. And so I'm saying, and we can't stress enough how important it is that you are in the right place, because you need to understand, looking back at the psychographics, where are these people? that you are
Exactly.
trying to communicate with? Are they even on social media? Um, and for some people, pre-pandemic, it was okay because chances are you'll find a group of persons on Instagram that will be interested in what you're saying. Except that now that the pandemic has come into place, several things have happened. Platforms have changed, and as platforms change, especially platforms like Instagram, and become more business-like, you have persons migrating away from the platform,
Yeah.
right? Because now it's too much ads and too much. I'm not interested in that, right? And so users migrate to other platforms for whatever reason, or just stop using that particular platform altogether, right? They're off social media for very long stretches and periods of time because they're busy. They're busy
Mm-hmm.
doing other things. They may have multiple streams of income that they are watching and putting efforts into because now money tight. And there are other more important things happening in their real life experiences than being on social media. So you have people coming off social media, people migrating to other platforms. And so now is the time where you need to be re-evaluating and overhauling your
Mm-hmm.
platforms. And this is where your analytics come in. So you have your social media analytics, whether it's your website, you have your Google analytics, and hopefully you would have embedded Google into your website and you're getting that kind of analytics, or even if it's your email list. At this point, no matter what digital platform you're using, there's some analytics
There's
that will be
some data
available to
there for
you.
you.
So your analytics can tell you who in a very limited sense, but they can also tell you where. They can show you, especially if you're talking about like a Google Analytics for your website, they can tell you where these people are coming from who are visiting your website, where they were coming from before they get to your website, and even in some cases where they go after they come off of your website.
That's the referral data.
Right. And
Mm-hmm.
with social media platforms, your social media platforms can give you wider information about demographics, male, female, age group, location, etc. So you can get some where information from your analytics. But once you've gotten the where information, this is what I want you to do with it. And this is where the how comes in. So I want you to use that where information as the baseline of your data that you're going to extrapolate that data, and then you're going to now plug that data into a retargeting campaign or a remarketing campaign. That's one thing you can do. So what do we mean by retargeting? Now, your retargeting, it implies that these persons are persons who are already aware of your brand, right, Anika?
Yeah.
So they would have come across Business Chick somewhere. They would have probably
They
jumped
would
on a
landing on
live that you've
website.
done, or jumped on a website, or maybe download one of your freebies, or join one of your webinars. However, they came across your brand, they're already aware of your brand, right? But depending on where they are in the buyer's cycle, they may or may not be ready to buy from you when they
Mm-hmm.
first find you or know that they're aware of you. For some people, it takes a longer period of time to warm up to you and your brand, especially if you're new to them, especially if they're in a group that nobody usually really pays attention to. And now this year they're like, what you want?
Side eye.
Right? And that this goes back to the psychography again, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so what you're trying to do is you're going to train them as to how to interact with
And
you and
nurture
your brand.
them.
Train and nurture. And what do I mean by that, right? Before I go there, it could also mean that they're considering other brands and businesses, because remember, you're not the only one in the space offering whatever product or service you're offering. And so it takes longer for them to decide because they may get distracted by a special offer or a deal or whatever in the decision making process, right? And so they get distracted from your brand. How then do you reattract those persons, bring them back round to you and your brand, and get them interested and ready to buy? So again, using your data and your analytics, you're going to make sure that you're putting the right things in front
Mm-hmm.
of these people that you're retargeting. You know, anecdotal data tells you that persons have to see your what do you call that? Your
Content?
ad, your advertising,
Mm-hmm.
or your sales pitch at least 7 times before they actually make that decision to buy from you. So you're going to make sure that your placements are in the right, you're putting placements in the right place. So whether you're advertising, so whether it's paid advertising or organic. So paid advertising, you're making sure you have tools within a Facebook, you have tools within multiple platforms that will then use the data that has been collected in terms of where they are geographically, male, female, how much percent. Also, Facebook gives you other information like
Think so.
interests, etc., that you can then know micro target persons within that larger demographic for your ads. And so, what I see people doing successfully is that they will have like 3 or 4 different ad for like the one product or service, but
Mm-hmm.
they're doing it in different ways. And sometimes it's A/B testing where they're testing one version against another version to see which one works best. But sometimes it's multiple different forms of advertising for the exact same product or service, said and repackaged in different ways to engage different people, or sometimes the same person but in a different way without overwhelming that person with a whole bunch of ads, right? And this is where the organic can come in to support the paid advertising. So this is where your influencers come in, right? And this is where your community also comes in, because you can have your community also disseminate that information across their platforms for you as well. And you can even go as far as to incentivize members of your community for doing that. So say for instance, you have 4 or 5 people in your community that are constantly engaging. They're your super fans, right? One way of keeping them nice, right? Finessing, yeah, keeping them
Mm-hmm.
with you is to incentivize them for helping you to promote your product or service. You can even create your own affiliate program where you can put these people into and say, hey, well, if somebody purchases, then you get a percentage of it. This is one way of rewarding your super fans for being super fans. Okay, so that's one idea, and that's kind of how you would retarget person. So some of us think that, oh, I have an event coming up, that's the only time I'm advertising. No, people who are successful at digital advertising are constantly
Yeah.
advertising. They may not even be advertising just one product or service, they just be advertising their brand in general.
Keep
Keeping
awareness
you up to
going.
date is a constant
Mm-hmm.
awareness, recycling, and retargeting. And I give you an example of a brand that does this, Domestica. Domestica is
Mm-hmm.
always advertising, constantly advertising, and you're wondering, why do they keep doing this? They have millions of people on their platform. It's because they want to keep that
It's top of
awareness
mind.
cycle going, and they are constantly retargeting because they know that people like me go on their platform and put things in the basket and don't check out. And so they're tracking me to see where
Mm-hmm.
I go after I come off of their platform. Do I go to social media? They track me to social media and they retarget me there, right?
I can give
So
a
that's
good
one way.
example.
Yeah.
The keeping top of mind.
Mhm.
There's no reason that a KFC needs to advertise in Jamaica.
No.
None. None. But they do. Why? Because they want to stay top of mind. They literally want to inundate you and keep you aware of course, obviously new specials and so forth. But it's just so that whenever you see red and white, you immediately think of KFC. And now I'm
Association.
hungry.
Right, because a part of that retargeting is conditioning. It's
Mm-hmm.
also a conditioning process. And how does that conditioning process works? I come across your brand, I may be interested, I like it, I click on something, I comment, maybe I like it, maybe I share it in my stories, but then I move on. I may not have followed you, but I clicked on and I like something. I
Yeah.
am going to know that you clicked on and that you like it because Instagram, say for instance, tell me who liked my thing. What I can do, or what I can have my social media manager do, is then go and look at all the persons who liked and commented on this, and then we're going to create a campaign to retarget them with similar things because clearly they like this particular thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then if we see a pattern developing with these particular persons, we can then target our content towards specific persons. Last week we talked about audience segmentation, where you're targeting different pieces of your brand and your content, etc., to different groups of people. This is where you can get that data from to group these people in. So guys, don't think that, oh well, somebody just like and they come in and that's data that you're
No.
overlooking. Go and look at who is liking and commenting and engaging, and then you re-engage them. And I'm going to talk about that later. So, guys, the next part, the next how is remarketing, but so retargeting and remarketing is similar in that you're constantly reintroducing your brand to a group of people who are already aware of your brand, but who may, well, for the retargeting, these are persons who didn't buy from you the first time around. But when you are remarketing, these are people
Mhm.
persons who would have already bought from you. So you're talking about customers who would have already done business with your brand or your business, right? The problem we have in Jamaica, and I see with a lot of brands, is that they buy from us one time, we collect no data from them, we don't
Mhm.
find out what was the customer service
And
experience
just hope for the
like.
best.
We don't find out if they had a good time, if they enjoy the product, how is it going. We don't find out any of these important follow-up details that could give us additional information that we could use to retarget them. And this is one example. I don't remember which brand it was, but there's a particular brand where if you buy, I think it was, is it socks? I don't know what the product was, but you buy from them once, and what
Mhm.
they do is they send you reminders that it's not socks because it's a product that I know finishes at some point, and then they
I
will
think
send
it's
you a
razors.
reminder. It's red, yes, yes, yes,
Razors,
yes, yes,
yeah.
and they will send you a reminder to say, hey. This is about to finish. Do
Hmm.
you want to restock? Amazon does that as
Amazon does
well.
it
Right.
too.
So they will send you
Yeah.
reminders to say, hey, at this point, you should be low on this stuff. Do you want Alexa or whosoever to go ahead and reorder it for you? You can say, yeah,
Hmm.
okay, go ahead and do that. You can do that same thing for your small brand or business, but it means that you are keeping in touch with these people. So you
And
can
keeping data.
and keeping data on them and segmenting them. So you have your email list, you have persons who bought from you recently, and you can do it in that chronological order from most recent right the way back, and you can keep track of your product. So if you know that you're selling a face cream and that face cream can last 3 months, maybe some people extra frugal, because I have had a scrub that like one of the best
That's me
deals
as
I've
well.
had from Self Care Tiffany's. I've had that scrub for almost 2 years, and I gingerly use that scrub. It finally done, right?
Especially when you find something that
That
works.
we really like.
Yeah.
So you should know how long your product lasts for, and you keep track of it, and you send them a reminder to say, hey, do you want us to go ahead and resend this to you or bill you for another or whatever, whatever, whatever? Just and sometimes you have to remind them too that
Mhm.
hey, you need to do this, because it's not that they don't want it, it's just that other priorities are at the top of their list and it gets dropped down to the bottom of the list. But if you remind them, they'll say, oh, yes, let me reorder this before I forget again. So that is what real marketing helps you to do. It helps you to stay in touch with persons who are already done business with your brand. It helps you to perfect your customer service as well.
Mhm.
And it also helps you to get them to buy from you again, because the goal is to have them buying from you over and over again, not just do one-off purchases. One-off
Build
purchases
loyalty.
build loyalty.
Mhm.
One-off purchases don't make your business successful. Okay?
And to add to
Unless
that, you want
it's
them
a really
to,
huge purchase, like a boat or a house, right?
well,
But otherwise, from that, if you're a small business, small brand, you need repeat customers, and that's how you can help build your repeat customer base.
but even to add a layer to that, you want to upsell as well with remarketing.
There you
So
go.
if they've bought a face cream from you, then
Mhm.
you want to have them purchase the whole face bundle, for
Yeah.
example. Yeah,
Or the whole line. So
the
you could
whole
have
line,
a
exactly.
toner, you could have a cleanser or whatever. You're saying, hey, you bought this, and you don't even have to wait. It could be a part of your automated email process. So once they bought it and you send them your receipt, guys. I cannot tell you how much of a good touch it is to send people receipts after they bought from you. It is even an e-receipt. You know,
Hmm.
because it just says sophisticated. It just says inventory. It says a lot about you and your brand. But along with that receipt or along with that thank you email that you guys are not sending, along with that thank
Yep.
you email for buying from you, can say, oh, hey, by the way, here are some other things that we think you may be interested in, because the cleanser works best if you use it with the toner and with the
Mm-hmm.
cream for better results. So yes, for sure, remarketing also is a part of your upselling process, and is a way of getting them back into the sales funnel, right? And so you have tools like MailChimp. If you have your email list in your MailChimp, and guys, don't that's the email list, but I ask you if you have an email list. I'm telling y'all that you need to have an email list. And so in MailChimp, if you are segment, I mean, I think most I go as far as say most email marketing platform, you have retargeting campaigns that you can do, because platforms like MailChimp hi Kenil, platforms like MailChimp will tell you who didn't open your email
Yeah.
and give you analytics along that line, and then they will even prompt you to resend or retarget using a specific campaign. So MailChimp gives you those kinds of options, and guys, you need to be utilizing these things as well. And so that's it for retargeting. So remember, retargeting is when you are reintroducing yourself or just keeping the awareness high around persons who would have already been familiar or aware of your brand, but at the time that they came in contact with your brand, they probably weren't ready to buy, or they were still in the decision making process, and checking out other brands and stuff, collecting information, right? So you need to be constantly engaging and re-engaging them to help them to make that decision and make that decision you, right? And then remarketing, as we said, guys, is where we're talking to persons who would have already bought from your brand or done business with your brand, and you're re-engaging them into the sales process so they can become not just one-off purchases but repeat customers. And as Anika says, it's one way that you can upsell a product or a service, right? So the other thing you can do is micro targeting. Now, what do we mean by micro targeting? So again, you're using data. Now, guys, everything we talk about tonight involves heavy data use, which means that you have to be paying attention to your analytics, right? So you're using data and as well as demographics to create audience segmentations, like what we said last week. So you're creating subsets or audience segments, and then each of those audience segments is targeted individually. So if you make five groups out of a larger target group, you're now targeting each group
Mm-hmm.
separately, based on things like interest, based on things like demographics, psychographics,
Mm-hmm.
geographics. So there are different things that you're basing these retargeting on. But your data on social media platform can help, because that data can tell you what they were engaging with on your platforms. Okay, where did they spend the most of the time? So on your website analytics can tell you, okay, which page did they spend the most time on?
Right.
How far down the page did they go?
Mm-hmm.
What's your bounce rate? So where did they bounce off of your page at? When they left this page, where did they go immediately after that? What did they look at? What did they engage with? So that information can help you to paint a picture as to maybe where the interest of this person, or what the interest of this person is. If you don't have any explicit information in that regard, you can make really good guesses as to what their interests are, right? So you are actually doing what they call predicting. So you are, and this market targeting is what they call predictive marketing, right? And so you're predicting the buyer behavior, and you're grouping like-minded individuals, and then you're going to target those people with influencer-based communication, or based communication, through hyper-targeted marketing or advertising, right? And it can be highly effective, especially if you're running advertising, digital advertising campaigns. Like for instance, today I was on YouTube, and an ad came up for is it Japanese? A Japanese car lot. So you know Jamaicans buy cars and then ship them in and fix them whatever. I keep getting this ad for cars. You know, there's this great company and you can get your car in no time or whatever. I was like, why would they be targeting me? And it's because one, it's a demographic. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
a woman between a particular age group, and they are doing what they call predictive marketing, where they're predicting what my interest may be at this point. So it may be in getting a new car,
Mm-hmm.
and they're looking at age group, they're looking at demographic, etc. And they're saying, okay, well, more than likely this person will be interested in buying a new car. So I keep seeing these ads coming up. I'm also seeing ads for persons who are working, who are traveling overseas for work and who needs accommodation. I'm seeing those ads as well. Again, it's a
You need to
demographic.
travel
Yeah,
and buy a car.
travel by a car. Right. So this company, they can provide you with somewhere to stay as well as a rental car as soon as you land in the
I'm
state
feeling
wherever
self-conscious now because
you're
now I'm
going.
thinking about the ads that have been hitting me, and it's
Mhm.
all about basically going back to school. Someone, if it's because I'm reaching 40, like
I
it's
don't
the
know.
steady
I
sending
think
a hint.
it's demo. I think it's a demo. This is what this is. I think these are good
Yeah,
examples of the predictive marketing,
yeah.
because they're looking at the age group of persons who are usually doing these kind of things. They're looking at the time of the year. They're looking at all of these things, because these ads were not hitting me in
Yeah,
January or February.
vacation,
They're just
family
hitting me now.
vacation, and go back to school. That's for
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
Masters and vacation.
Yeah, so I think they're doing what they're calling predictive marketing, because I looked at it and I wasn't interested in buying a car. I'm like, let me click on this. I'm gonna click on this. And
Me.
usually I don't click on YouTube ads, but I thought this was very interesting, and
Yeah.
yeah, I might be interested in looking at cars, and so I clicked. So they got me. And so that is what we call micro
Mhm.
targeting, using predictive buying behavior to, guess what your audience is interested in, if again, if the information is not clear as to what they're interested in, and then reintroduce them to that thing, or introduce them to that thing, have longer, more in-depth conversation about that thing, give them as much information that they need to make a decision, and then you can close a sale out quicker that way
Mhm.
than if they're running. Because I see Barita tired for killing with ads. I'm not interested in IPOs.
Mhm.
So instead of just sending out a massive ad to anybody and hoping it hits, it makes more sense, especially as a small brand, because you may not have that kind of marketing spend to
Mhm.
be sending out those ads and not being very targeted, because Barita have the money to be able to constantly be barraging you with those ads on YouTube. You may have
Right.
a very limited marketing budget, and so micro targeting makes more sense for you, because of budget restrictions, as well as, and maybe in some cases, time restrictions. But guys, again, do what the big guys do: constantly market and advertise, whether it's paid advertising or organic advertising. This is something that you should be doing constantly throughout the year, not just when you have an event or a sale or anything like that. Constantly be introducing yourselves to
And
people,
you don't need a
reintroducing
massive
yourself.
budget, especially if you
$5,
really zone it in.
$10, maybe even.
Yeah.
And I will tell you how Digital Jamaica does it. Okay, this is an example. But before I do, Anika, you were saying that you don't really need a big budget.
No, you don't need, especially just like what you said. Once you really tapped in and you really understand who, and if you micro targeting, retargeting, all of these terms, then you can maximize on your budget. One pro tip I would also say is if you have, say for example, you have a budget of $100 for the month, and
Mhm.
that's a lot. That's a
That's a
lot.
lot. Yeah.
So if you have a budget for $100 for the month, or even if you want to bring it down to $20 for the month, don't
$20.
spend the $20 in one
One time.
campaign or
Spread it
one
out.
time. Spread it out. And one pro tip that I would beg you to listen to, spend it in shorter spurts of time. So even if you want to run a campaign for 5 days, for example, um, instead of stretching the $20 across the 5 days, break it into $5 for 2 days, $5 for 2 days. $5 for 2 days. Why? Because Facebook and Instagram actually prefer that, and they will push your content a little harder.
Mhm.
I think
Yeah.
there's a likelihood of you changing the campaign less when there's a shorter amount of
Shorter.
time
Right.
around a
Right.
campaign time frame. So they end up prioritizing the
Yeah.
spend towards the end of the campaign. So if you have a shorter time frame for your campaign, then you actually get more bang for your buck, essentially.
For sure. And that's a really good tip, guys. And that's one way you can make sure that you're staying at top of mind. There's this coaching lady. I keep forgetting her name. Someone on a life coach. I am always seeing her ads. I'm
Mm-hmm.
always seeing her ads on Instagram, especially. And she's not particularly advertising anything. She's just, you need coaching? Call me. And it's
Mm-hmm.
constantly there. And so right now I can picture her brand. I can picture everything. I know her face. The only thing is I keep forgetting her name. But I can picture her brand and her so it's fresh in my mind. So when I'm thinking about life coach, she automatically comes to my mind. Now, I may not be that life coach, but I may know somebody who may need
Yeah,
a life coach. And I was like, there's this lady on Instagram, what's her name again? What's her name? And I can find her and I send it to you. And that's one of the benefits of constantly keeping yourself in
top
the
of
in the
mind.
top of mind of your target audience.
Pixie glasses.
Talking
Pixie
about
glasses.
digital, my
Pixie
glasses,
glasses.
it's
No, the
this
other way.
it's this thing here.
Oh, wait, okay.
Yes.
Here,
It's
just
the hair thing. Yeah.
okay.
Okay, and the last one, guys, from me in terms of how is look doing what Digital Jamaica has been doing with some and varying degrees of success. So we use our stories a lot because we have realized that we get a lot more views in our stories and our stories can really increase our engagement on our posts. So we use our stories a lot, but not stories to talk about what we have in our post, but
Mm-hmm.
that's not necessarily useful in some cases. Just if we have something really important in the post that we want in the feed, I mean, that we want you to see, then we'll share it to our stories. No, instead, we've chosen to use our stories to talk about other people. And this is what we do. So we have a pretty good understanding of who our audience is and who else we want to invite within our audience space. And this is what we do, Anika. So I would have come across you. We constantly pay attention to what our followers are engaged with. We go on their pages, we look at the things that they like, we look at
Mm-hmm.
where they leave comments. We kind of track them across the platform, not in a creepy way, but we do
Creepy.
some tracking across platforms, right? Or we look at what they're reposting or sharing or who they're tagging in their comments. We actually do look at what our followers are talking about. And
Mm-hmm.
then we go and we look at these persons ourselves. And then we go, oh, this person would be a great member, would be a great addition to our community. And what do? We go on their page and we share a post that we really like from their page to our stories with a cute little caption. We tag them and we post that. And what happens is these persons now become aware of us and
Mm-hmm.
they now reshare that tag story post in their stories. And we are extending our reach. We call it hashtag on our timeline,
Mm-hmm.
right? So we go through our timeline looking at the communication and engagement and then finding the people who we think would be great additions to our community. And instead of waiting on them to come to us, we go to
Yeah.
them and we introduce ourselves to them by way of free promotion on our platform. We're not charging them for promotion on our platform. We are genuinely interested in them and their product or their services because we think, oh, this is something really great that one, we think our audience needs to know about. Two, it needs more eyes because this is fabulous. And
Mm-hmm.
three, we want to introduce them to our platform to say, hey, this is a cool space to come and hang out. And I would say about 80% of the times we are successful in that regard in bringing them over to our platform. Sometimes they have to do it multiple times to interest them. We are not afraid to follow people. This follow
Mm-hmm.
unfollow thing, stupid.
Oh God.
So if we
So
come across
annoying.
a platform that we like or a brand
Yeah.
or business we like, we're gonna follow them. because we are interested. So we're going to follow them. So we're not afraid to follow people that we're interested in. Sometimes, even if they don't follow us back, eventually they will. But we will follow them first, and we don't have a problem with that. And we're not just following them because we want them to follow us. We're following them because there's genuine interest there. So authenticity also comes back into play. But this we were able to do this with that high level of success because we have a very deep understanding of who we are talking to, and first of all who our audience is and what our audience wants to see. We
Mm-hmm.
know that our audience wants to support these online businesses. We know that our audience is made up of some of these small businesses. We know that our audience is also made up of people who are interested in tech or working in tech, or
Digital
persons who are
enthusiasts.
right, or persons who are adjacent in that regard, who may
Yeah.
have additional income that they can spend, and again, who wants to support local business because they're either in the diaspora, etc. So we understand who these people are, and so we're killing several birds with one stone. We're saying, hey, look at these people. We think you may be interested in them, and then we're saying to these people, hey, this is a cool space for you to come and hang out because this is how we support our community.
Mm-hmm.
And those two things work really very well. And persons have come back to us and say, hey, I was wondering where all this traffic was coming from, but we realized that it came through the stories that you shared. They had more persons now coming to their platform to look at their brand or whatever, right? And so that's how we do it. And what we call that, we call them inviting them in. We are actively going out and looking for them and say, hey, hi, how you doing? Come here, come look at this, right? That's what we are actively doing because we know that we have something of value that we can offer to them as members of our community. So
Mm-hmm.
that's another how. Invite them in.
And the inviting in, you can even apply it to, so if somebody follows you, send them a message. Like, reach out to them in the DM. Like, hi, really appreciate you following. Here's my story. I'd love to know more from you. Like, that immediate engagement
Yeah.
it starts building trust, and that's what you need to build trust, because
And
you need
even
trust to
mhm,
then move into purchase.
for sure. But even if you don't want to do it on such a micro level, because I know that gets tedious, what
Mm-hmm.
you can do is you can have a welcome message. This is what we do. We have a welcome message in our highlights. So anybody going through our highlights, once they click welcome, that welcome highlight, it goes through about 6 stories of welcome, telling them who we are, what we do, why they should stay. Right? But what you can do every now and again is re-upload that welcome message to your stories. So
Mm-hmm.
if after a week you see where you had 7 new followers, 4 new followers, 3 new followers, you can then re-upload that welcome message to say, hey, new followers, welcome to our space, blah, blah, blah. You can actually re-upload that to your stories again. So you're constantly making them feel welcome, etc. Because I know it may get to that. Sometimes you just don't remember to private message someone. So you
Yeah.
can put that welcome message in there. And this is a super, super pro touch. Use a voice note in those messages
Oh gosh, voice
because
notes.
that adds a very personal touch. So
Mm-hmm.
you can use your other graphics and stuff, but just add a voice note in there because it's human interaction. It shows thought. It shows thought, and it makes people feel welcome. So that's a
Mm-hmm.
super pro tip for you there, Anika. Can you believe it's almost 8:30 already?
That's crazy.
Almost 8:30 already. But guys, this was fun. I enjoyed it. If you missed this live, guys, so what we've done, Anika, we've turned a lot of these lives into carousels that we post on the
I
Digital
love these
Jamaica
new
platform.
carousels.
And these
They're
carousels
so
have
cool.
taken off. People absolutely love them. So of course, we're also going to be turning this into a carousel that should be posted soon onto our platform. And guys, if you haven't checked it out already, we have rebranded and relaunched our people and product segment. We've been talking to some really awesome people behind the scenes, mostly Caribbean based brands, tech brands, but we want to introduce you to the people behind these brands so you can get a deeper understanding of who they are, etc. And this is another way you get stay top of mind. So if you're a Caribbean brand, tech based brand, and you're interested in being featured on our people and product series, definitely send us a message, and so we can share some more information with you. And that's our show for this week, guys. Anika, do you have any parting words?
I would just encourage folks to stay tuned to the Digital Jamaica space. There are lots of things coming up,
Oh,
lots.
child.
And I think especially if you're getting value from these conversations around like re-strategizing and retargeting and repurposing and all of these re's, then you're going to want to pay attention because we have launched 2022, which is coming up, and which will be highly beneficial to anybody out there who really wants to repackage their brand for the new year.
For a new year, for
Yeah.
sure. All right. Anika, thank you so much for co-hosting
My
with me
pleasure.
today. I really appreciate it. We should do that again. And guys, you're going to be seeing more of Anika on the Digital Jamaica and the Digital Disruption Agency platforms. And so you can look out for her. Thank you so much for joining us this week, and we will see you next week. Bye.
Bye, guys.
All right.